Hello, hello. Can anybody hear me? Got a little bit crazy this morning. Oh, focus on me. All right. Let's see here. Someone give me a chat if this is working. Got a little bit of a late start today. Forgot that I had to set up my desk and everything else. So here we go. Let's see what's going on here. All right, we're going to close down Skype. All right. Good morning, loud and clear. All right, welcome Harry, welcome everybody. Let me connect with Allie real quick because need her expertise involved. I think she got me a DM here. Just do it real quick here. Don't need this. All right. PEV. We are here to trade Phoenix Motors IPO, or at least watch it. We don't have any. Okay, tell my wife we're busy. Okay, let's just see if we have anything going on here yet with PEV. PEV, here we go. No indication yet here, and no indication on when it will go live from Benzinga. Let me see what thought it's a link. All right, I got to get Allie the link, and then we will start digging into things here. I think I sent it to her, but maybe I didn't. All right, where do I get that link? Invite. Here we go. Let me get Allie in here. All right, Allie, I just sent you the link to join in StreamYard. Gonna send this out to the rest of the world. Location at 10:10. Live at 10:20. Thanks, ABC. We are going to have a minute to catch our breath here. So give me a second here, please, and I will want to send out a little tweet to the world telling people to join us live streaming the Phoenix Motors PEV IPO right now. Should start pricing at 10:10 and open for trade shortly after 10:20. With trading. Grab that link. To here we go. It says we're live. Let me get some feedback in here. All right. Tweeting that out. Let's get back to this. All right. So thanks for bearing with me, guys and girls. We are here to live trade the PEV IPO. Watching a few other things this morning as well. We'll be looking at AERC, JAN, and a few other LPX plays that are on the. Looks like we got HTCR running as well. HTCR today. All right, so Thanks for joining me. I think I kind of got my breath here. All right, so what are we doing today? We are live streaming the Phoenix Motors PEV IPO. The ticker is PEV. This is a low float IPO with just 2.5 million shares. It was originally slated, or they first filed their S1 in November 2021. They had the underwriters listed as, looks like Maxim Roth was the lead underwriter, then Maxim and EF Hutton. So they were kind of tag teaming it. They were looking for 4 million shares with warrants involved. They've since decided to switch underwriters. They're going with Prime Number Capital. Prime Number Capital has pulled a few of these sort of what I like to call stealth IPOs. These stealth IPOs tend to be very volatile. They give us several halts to the upside. They tend to have some connection to China. The most recent ones we've seen have been JCSE. Another one that Prime Number was involved in was OST. And I'll give you a look at those so we can understand what kind of setups we might be in for if this indeed is a stealth setup. So what am I looking for here? I'm going to share my screen in just a minute. 2.1 million shares. Yeah, they actually reduced it. How do we know what price it will open? Frank, thanks for joining us. We will know what price it is going to open at once we see the pre-debut imbalance, which I'll show you how to see on Webull here in a minute. Allie.
Morning.
Morning. Welcome to the show.
You're looking at my screens.
Yeah. A little crazy today. I got my little 1-week-old daughter in the background here. Things are great at the hospital visit. We got that sorted out. And then my wife decided she needed to go get a manicure. So things are a little bit crazy. I forgot that I had not even set up a desk yet in our new apartment. So on top of having a baby arrive, we were in the middle of moving, kind of forced out of one apartment into another. For those of you who know my story, I was living in Kiev 3 months ago, Ukraine, and then there was a war that started, so we left. Fortunately, we left just in time, 2 days before the bombs started dropping, and we are now safely in Albufeira, Portugal. It's very nice outside, kind of hot, good light here, I guess. But I'm going to bring up my screen here, and we are going to take a look at some of the tickers. I'd like to introduce Allie here a little bit. Allie is Trading Fit Girl on Twitter. Highly recommended follow. She has a very unique perspective on and strategy for trading generally low float IPOs. Many of the IPOs that I originally, am playing off the debut, she is taking a little bit of a longer term play at them, where she is seeing them for the the lockup period expiration, where and Ali, why don't you explain that a little bit, and then while I figure out what's going on with why Webull doesn't want to let me go to a single grid here.
Weebull's confused this morning. All right, so with the lockups, we've got a couple different things that we are working with right now. We've actually had a lot of them lately that have had a leak out, which means you don't just have the rules that are the 90 and 180 days. We've actually had ones that are pulling a 30, 60, 90, 120, 270, like all of these weird things. So we've had a lot of staggers lately, and also the time of year. If you go back 6 months from right now, we had Thanksgiving, and then we had the Grinch Christmas run. We didn't have a lot of IPOs during that time. So now we're looking at June and July, where they've kind of slowed down on the 180-day lockups. But a lot of those were running them at the 90 also. So we've got ones like NRSN that ran at the 90-day, and now we're at the 180-day. And I keep being asked, is it going to run? Well, I don't know, because they told us that they were going to run it at the 90, and then they did. They actually ran it like day 102 or something. And then we've got
do AERC. Let's use this as
I'm working. That was literally my next one. So AERC is at the 6-month lockup right now. The actual date for it was like, all right, help me out, room. It was May 8th, maybe, I think. I'll look it up right now. So with that,
you've been watching this one since May 8th as a potential to run. And why is it that you expect these to run?
So we've got exercise prices. right? And then we've got right now about a 30 to 45 day window that we're watching them after the lockup, but we're also watching them on the front side. So about 2 weeks ish before we have the actual lockup date, which is of course based on a rule, or they tell us. With those,
Where do
we've
you
got
find this information about the lockups? This is generally in the S1. I mean, I'm just
no.
tying this back to the IPO,
Gotcha.
or the yeah. So
So
explain to
I'll
people
start from the
why
beginning.
these lockups and why the expiration or the EP, the exercise price, is so significant.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll back it up. These IPO, right? You play them, I play them. We, have fun with them, or we ignore them, and then they get boring. Every single one of the IPO charts is going to be a death chart at some point. They're just going to die because the insiders and the company and the underwriter can't use their shares because of a lockup. So the lockup is based on Rule 144 and 701. So we have a 90 or 180 day is the general rule. So any of my spreadsheets, you'll see 90 or 180, and then I have other. So once we get to those timeframes, the companies can dump their shares, but they haven't agreed on exercise price or the price that they can sell at or convert at if it's units that they have to get it to. Now, this isn't necessarily just the company. We've got the under 5% shareholders, which we can't track. We've got the 5% shareholders, which obviously have to, file the Form 13Gs, and they're identified. And then we've got all of the friends and family that are in between. So people like you and I, where we do the debut runs, anybody gets stuck in that, hey, they're a shareholder. Good job, them.
Mm-hmm. An
But
investor. Now you're investing.
yeah, investing. So no, definitely not for me. But
So yesterday, sorry, yeah, keep going.
No, go ahead. We got a while.
I just wanted to point out, so yesterday, Ali, and actually the day before, AERC, and this is just, it always, it no longer surprises me. And part of the reason that Ali and I kind of connected in the first place was that I didn't quite make the connection about the lockup expiration or the exercise prices. I just sort of would see that, hey, these, low float IPOs tend to, a few months after the IPO, drop some PR, drop a headline, and then go on these massive runs. And I was able to play a few, and then by kind of looking up these tickers on Twitter as they ran, that's how I found Ali, and she had a great explanation for them. Which the way I look at it is, oh well, there's a headline, that's why it ran. She's like, of course there's a headline, but that's not why they ran. They ran because they dropped the headline to create the run to the exercise price. And with AERC on day one, it ran something like, from about it was down to 215 on the second. It started walking up, and she had been pointing it out for a few days, like, hey, AERC is walking up. That's kind of what we see going into these runs is, hey, someone who kind of knows something is starting to accumulate a position here. That's kind of suspicious looking. And then on day one, we got it running up to 3, 4. I think it hit up is just above 5 and after hours. And on day two, Ali's going, hey, you guys, the exercise price is $12.50. This really could go to $12.50. I mean, anybody else would have been sitting going $12.50. It's already up like 200. It's up 100%. In a day, over 150% in a day. That's really dangerous to play. And she goes, nuh-uh, that's not the goal. The end game for this move is not for them to get it up to 550. They're getting up to 1250. And even yesterday when it was up at 12, she said, hey, and after hours it's going to hit 15. And she was dead on. And how does she come up with these forecasts? Yes, she does have a crystal ball literally on her desk, but that's not where she's getting these numbers. She's getting these numbers from the filings. We're basically telling her, look, we're going to run it to 1250 because that's the exercise price that our investors, our insiders are in. And they are going, and I mean, it's not every time, but it's a lot of the times when those EPs get reached. What happened once it broke 1250? It sold off again. It came back down to 10. Why was there that secondary push? Because there were more shares to dump. And these, these insights, these plays, they're very, they're not every time. And there is a strategy to building, these positions. You're not going to go out and just be like, oh, well, now it's at $2. And in a couple months, there's a lockup expiration with an EP at $6. I'm just going to buy it at $2. I mean, Ali, do you want to explain a little bit about how you're using stop losses, how you're building positions over time, looking for knives, all that kind of good stuff?
I love knives.
Knives.
So,
And what is a knife? Just explain what a knife is for people who
so a knife is it's where we have a single. I normally have everything on either a 5 or a 30-minute. That's just my life. I don't do the 1-minute anxiety. I just can't. I don't want to look like Billy at 24. So I choose to kind of slow things down, which means slower charts. So 5 or 30-minute, we're going to have a single candle that it can be red or green, depending on the time frame you're looking at, but it drops down and it immediately recovers. And we've been calling that the buy signal. I have no idea what causes it. I've done a lot of research on it and I can't find a reason. So it just exists. But we'll have these just drops, it recovers, and then they start to walk up. So last year when we were playing the IPOs on the 90 and 180 day, we were looking for 3 knives. Okay. If you guys have watched any of my videos from last year, 3 knives, and it was guaranteed. But that tells us that the same algos or whoever's behind the scenes are actually controlling it, which is really cool because that's trackable. So we have this knife, it consolidates a little bit, and then we have another knife and it consolidates in another knife. So that used to be my buy last year. This year, we're having just this death fade, and then it does this consolidation. We have a knife, and then it starts reversing. With the reversals, I'm drawing my channels and I'm basing it on the volume profile, and that is where I'm getting back in. Now, here's the fun thing about the volume profile. If I'm in something at the bottom of the volume profile and it's the bottom of my channel, it's relatively safe. But if it breaks that, that's where my stop loss is. Because if it breaks that, I'm in the wrong time frame. So if I'm in the wrong time frame, I'm going to get out. I'm going to wait a couple days. And yes, a couple days, not like 5 minutes, see what it does. Because these are really, really just slow and boring when they're slow and boring. Like I keep posting on, well, in the room, of course, but then with the Twitter chaos right now, people are like, oh, it's a boring chart. Why would I touch that? Well, because it's a boring chart. Because once it starts moving, then you're going to be chasing it. And if you don't know where the exercise prices are, it's just throwing a dart. So we're getting in these when they're boring, when they have the knife, and then on those walk-ups within the channel. So with the channels, it just depends on the volume profile. There's no like magic price on these, but getting within the channel, if it goes above the channel, awesome. I'm going to stop buying even if I don't have my full position, because if it comes back on the channel, I want to have room. If it runs without me and I have 50% of my position, awesome, cool, thank you, and I'll take it. If I'm full position and it knives, I'm going to stop out. And a perfect example the other day, BJDX, when we had that crazy flush. So I had it in 2 accounts. One of my averages was 96, and then I ended up adding when it was in the 98, so it went to like 97.1 or 2 or something. And then I had a 93 average. Well, the 93 was majority of my position. So the 96, okay, fine, 96, 97, I'll let that sit. But once it broke 93, it hit my stop loss. So then I get to rebuild my position. And doing that, it's kind of brutal, especially when you know it's that close to a lockup or it's past the lockup, but it is necessary because if it had broke through 90, like anything's game. So when you're on these, you have to know what your risk is and immediately just how much you're willing to lose if you do stop out. So don't have, a dollar stop loss if it's been hanging out 95 to 105 and, let me rephrase that. Don't have a 90-cent stop loss if it's been hanging out 95 to 105. Have a dollar stop loss when it comes back down and adjust it. So I've been asked a lot recently on my stop losses specifically, why I take so many cuts. Majority of my stop losses are green because I move them up. As soon as I have a position, I'm going to move it up just a tiny bit above my average so that I'm not taking the paper cuts because I don't like taking paper cuts. They suck and they take forever to heal and it just kills the psyche. And yeah. But when when you're in these, you absolutely have to define your risk. When we have the longer periods, like right now, we've got, I think, 4 or 5 of them that we're looking at, I don't know, 3 to 5 weeks past the lockups right now. They're consolidating. They're still at lows. To me, that's safe. Now, if they drop below, I'm going to leave them alone because obviously the company's planning on doing something different, or whoever's going to run it is doing something different. But as long as it stays in my channel, I'm going to stay. I'm going to just chill there because the second I get out of it, when I get bored, it runs. Like, it's a rule. It happens to every one of us. We get out because it's boring. And then, hey, it goes, 500% the next day. And then we're
Right.
chasing.
And you don't have to give up on the whole position. You could just say, okay, well, I'm going to take half of it out and put my funds, you know, somewhere else. But yeah, there is an opportunity cost to these. I tend to approach these a little bit differently unless I really like them. I am kind of like waiting for the headlines, kind of sitting there watching them. In the pre-market, typically these PR drops happen around 7 a.m. or 8:30. I use Benzinga Pro. It's a great headline tool, or at least the scanner is really good to show me kind of what's jumped in the last couple minutes, and if I can catch a spike in the first minute, get the headline in the second or third minute, I can usually, after the first spike up, jump in on these. I was able to, I missed AERC. I was a little bit busy that day. I think that's the day my daughter was brought home from the hospital. Jan, I was able to pick that one up yesterday and played it twice. So NASCAR asked if the quality of the headline matters. To some degree, it does. Of course, you want to have something that's meaningful, FDA clearance, whether it's all that meaningful or not in terms of really digging into it. It's AERC does like air conditioning that has, it's HVAC with a ultraviolet light on it. I mean, it's not the
they
most
tried to do the COVID angle on the first one. Remember that?
Yeah. And that one ripped on the debut. That one priced at 10, opened at 40, and there's like no shares trading, and it ripped up to like 110 or something crazy.
That was one of our verified Chinas also. I love those.
Yeah, so the China angle, and now we can transition, I think, to to looking at the IPO du jour of the day, and that is PEV. So what is PEV? PEV is it's Phoenix Motors. It's a California-based EV company focused on electric drivetrains for mainly Ford F-150s. They've sold something like 104 trucks total since they started their business in 2014. Their financials are horrible. Down 55% in the 9 months ending September 31st. Gross profits down, negative and widening, baseline financials. But what makes this interesting is that we've seen a number of IPOs. And I just want to show you an example here. We're going to look at OST. OST also was handled by Prime Number Capital. They were the lead book runner. And what we saw happen here is, I got to show you I can show you, I guess the 5 minutes will be fine. What we had was an opening run. Pardon the loading here. So OST priced at 5. It then halted. It opened at 10, halted up at 11, proceeded to run up as high as 28, pulled back down to about 22, closed the day at like 44, and then early pre-market the next day topped out at 56, traded in the mid 40s all day, at the beginning of day 2, and then just sold off. I mean, you don't want to be holding these into day 2. But what we are looking for is there a China connection to this? In this case, kind of, yeah. This company, first of all, Prime Number Capital is legendary for running. Was not Prime Number Capital as the underwriter. They were the book runner. At least that's what I was reading up on last night. No, it was a boasted OST. I think was boasted.
Yeah, OST
Um,
was.
so I want to bring up the crossing because it's going to come up here pretty soon. And what we're going to get an idea of. So PEV priced at 750. What we're
So
looking
I
for
got
here,
my full allocation, which is
I
always a
too
weird
did.
50-50.
I too got a full allocation, and that is something that even if it is even if this does get pumped on low volume, we can see if too much if there's too much of an allocation given to retail, we can see a sell off initially. I think we saw that with MUHA Meihua, which I believe Prime Number was on as well. Then we can see that the retail allocations will often sell off at the beginning, and then we might see it kind of halt down and then halt up if it's ends up getting squeezed. But we should be getting okay. So now we've got a buy side imbalance at $2, and I'm going to say that doesn't really mean anything yet until we get some kind of real indication of an opening price. Then I'm not going to put too much. So full allocations are negative. Generally, yes. I got 99 shares out of 100 requested. So we are seeing a significant discount here. If this opens at $3, I would be pretty shocked. And I actually would like that for a run. That's less than half the IPO price. But this is still very early in the imbalance. So what we're seeing here is how many shares are being, slated to be sold on the opening print and at what price. So right now they're saying, okay, well, the price that is balanced, where there's a relatively balanced allocation or balanced number of shares traded is at $3. There's 136,000 shares with 13,000 more shares being asked for than are available. And that's not really this is incredibly weak for a $7.50 IPO. This is if it goes live at 3, I would be pretty shocked. So $1, we're not getting anything real here yet. If it goes live at $1, I will go buy a whole bunch of these at this price. But I can't imagine that somebody is willing to sell all of their shares for $1. Here we go, 320. Still incredibly low. With the buy side imbalance at 320, I would be interested in adding to my position, and we'll play this in my other account as well. So let's see how this goes. Way too early. Yes, this basically means nothing at this point. I'm not gonna make any commitments one way or another. I kind of expect this to be over 750 by the time we see this go live. But we're still 3 minutes into what's going to take at least 10 minutes for them to get their act together. So
Matt,
yeah.
HTCR, you had mentioned earlier, so I just pulled it up.
Yeah.
It is a 90-day lockup. That was May 11th. And then we've got it's got another alert. We've got the 180-day on August 9th. One insider has 69%, and it's under Reg D, so on the Form D.
Yeah.
With this one, it is walking up. It's got a 5 and a 625 exercise prices. So a conversion price at 5, exercise at 625, and it's walking. So, please tell me it's boosted. Please be boosted.
It was a boost. It was a boosted deal that did not do all that well.
It didn't
actually announcing. I mean, it did give. I think a day 2 run, or it did give an opportunity to take profits. Yeah. There was a chance to take profits there. They don't feel burned in terms of the underwriter, so much as I understand. This is the kind of gateway IPO. This company HTCR is getting into doing IPOs for Japanese companies. So for them not to have a strong showing doesn't look great for them. going forward for the other IPOs that they're bringing to market. Having said that, they believe that their company is greatly undervalued. Share buyback is a little bit of a different, that's very self, that's kind of like, hey, we got to do something. Yeah, so they announced a 3.5 million share buyback. Someone asked about quality of headline. I think it was NASCAR. Yeah, the quality of the headline will definitely bring in more day traders. But like CYN, that wasn't really like an amazing like headline that ran that one over multiple days. It was just, hey, we came out with this product suite that kind of was like, yeah, wasn't that what you've been working on for this whole time? Whereas FDA approval, that's a pretty big one, especially with another factor is what is the float? If it's low float and it's a big headline, that's going to attract a lot of day traders, and that's the kind of setup that we're looking for a for a runner that can go for more than 1 or 2 days. But yeah, HTCR certainly one that I've been actually bag holding for a while. After playing the initial IPO, I thought, hey, this still hasn't really run, and it's a posted deal. We should see more out of this. And it went down and down and down. And then when I had a chance to get out, I still thought, no, it's got to like make a run. I mean, these do crazy things, and this hasn't done anything crazy yet. So hopefully now. But yeah, if you can go back to 5, I can easily get out with a nice little profit there. But until then, all right, let's look at PEV. PEV is starting to move closer to the IPO price, but still dramatically underwater for anybody who got an allocation. So it does seem that they had a little bit of a problem selling the full. They wanted to sell 2.5 million shares. They ended up selling 2.1. Although I do understand that the underwriter exercised their over allotment as well, so they're not too doesn't seem like they're too worried about having gotten in. But as we move towards, we're at about 4 minutes away from where they are, where they're supposed to take this live. I like this at 451. If this goes to live at 451 with this buy side imbalance, I'll take a bit more on this. I think I'm going to wait another probably minute or two before I even put in an order. So if you are trying to buy in on the debut on this one, what you want to be doing is setting a limit order above the the indication price. So that'll get you in right on the first print. If you want to try to undercut it, you can do that as well. I'm not going to try to be fancy with it. I'm just going to say, let's play this. So 466, if I gotta back that down a little bit. So what you want to do, okay, now we're seeing 499. You would, if you put in say for 555, then your order will get filled at whatever the opening print is. So give me a second to try to manage my 5.
Hey Matt, are you still showing a sell side imbalance?
I'm seeing it kind of flipping back and forth, buy side, sell side.
Okay.
All right, so now we are seeing $5. This could fluctuate at any moment, and we are way below the IPO price. So remember, these low float IPOs, they tend to be highly volatile, and immediate halts one way or another are very normal. So this could sell off down into a halt. This could sell up into a halt. If this didn't halt one way or another, I would be pretty surprised. We're now about a minute away. They have to balance them. They have to go through this process for 10 minutes. And what's happening right now is the underwriter is on the phone with the, or maybe it's the book runner, is on the phone with the NASDAQ right now going, okay, we got 152,000 shares at $5. Do you want to go live? Or they will in a minute. You want to go live? No, wait. And they can wait, or they can go live at any moment. And it's just a split decision, or game time decision made by the book runner to. All right, now we're seeing a sell side imbalance with 18,000 shares. That's a little bit weak here, 499, but somewhere between kind of 490 and 5, they are finding the right price. And now we're seeing a sell side imbalance. If you want to try to undercut a sell side imbalance, that's not a bad play, but you might miss the entry altogether. So this is kind of like, where do you want to play this? What's your risk tolerance? Do you want to be in on this and hope that it's it is the the stealth IPO? Do you want to potentially get in better than the 489? I'm going to do one account one way, another account another way. Now that we see a sell side imbalance, 150,000 is a little bit high for such a low float on the debut, but I believe we might have retail allocations that are just kind of saying, all right, this is terrible. This is a train wreck. I'm going to sell off. And that would be a 10% down move, would be 48 cents, 48 minus or whatever, if we're looking at like maybe 488. 8 times 29, so 439 would be your entry if you're trying to get in on the halt down. Ali and I were able to do that almost perfectly on was it MTech when we caught the opening halt down. That was
that C71. That was awesome.
Yeah. So we're saying this pretty big sell side imbalance at 488. One thing that sometimes these underwriters will come in and try to like save the IPO price at the last second. We saw that with ASNS. It didn't hold very long. If we see that, if all of a sudden this jumps to like 650, that's not necessarily a great sign. That might be a sign to take what you can get and run. But I still have some faith in this one. There's still some ridiculous. None of this really matters over here. We're seeing bids up at like $10 and sells, a lot of sell orders. So a lot of shares being offered to dump here. These are some pretty big allocations that are being positioned to be offloaded. So now we have a buy side at 480. That's a preview place change. So I'm going to try to undercut this at like 440, 445. Oh, there we go. 750. Now we're seven. Now we're seeing kind of the something that's a little bit more what we would expect for a stealth IPO, but still not really. I mean, not in terms of a stealth IPO. We don't usually see them that low. Usually, if it's a stealth IPO, there's a ridiculously high premium. So I'm not sure that this is the stealth setup that we're looking for. Looks like we've gone live, and I'm going to switch to the other. Yeah, PEV.
And halt. Nope, it didn't halt. Okay. 585. Sorry, not 75.
Ball is not playing with me nicely here. All right, so we're down.
Okay.
So that's what we saw. We saw and now is it halted down?
Well, that was fun. Okay, so from the base, we've got 585 open, 650, and then it's at 585 right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put an order at like, I don't know, probably that'll be halted. I'm going to be looking at about 540 on it with a super tight stop on it. So let me get that entered.
So Ali, do you have a way to see the halt open, like the halt open?
Give me 1 second. I will. Give me 1 sec to get the screen up.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch over to the other window. Meanwhile, Jan and AERC just massively spiked.
AERC is back above the channel that I have, and it is halted. Jan's been moving with it. We've got a couple pumpers that have been putting them together, but Jan does have higher EPs and it is still low float. And last time it was a crazy short trap. So that was actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, it went to 31. I'm getting any cooperation from my people. I don't know if it's angry that I was operating in two places. Come on.
Excuse me.
This down. My computer seems to be burping on me. All right, so these halts are pretty normal. We kind of called that out, that we were likely to see that. And we got the halt down, which is, not great if you bought in on the debut. I did not adjust my order up from 445, so I'm not filled at this point. Ali, do you have an indication on the
not yet? I'm still opening IB. I just asked the room if anybody was able to. Normally we've got a couple different devices, but I am alone in Vegas, so my other trading half is not available right now. And Interactive Brokers is who we normally use, and it is taking forever to open.
Chrome seems to be in a bad mood at the moment. Reopen, closed. Window. All right, reopen, close tab.
Indication's $5.
$5. Okay. Oh. All right. Well, gonna have to.
Okay, which means it's gonna halt at 5:30. Give me 1 second. 5:28.
Okay. All right, here we go.
We got just a couple seconds on it.
This halted at what time? So this halted at 10:23. So.
We have a minute left. We have 50 seconds left on it. Sorry, I looked.
You think it's a 5-minute halt?
I'm gonna have some hopium on the 5-minute halt, and then if not, then hey, I'm gonna go with it's a 10-minute halt.
Yeah.
And then
I would say the first halt generally is more than a 5-minute halt. So what are we doing during the halt here? Well, we're trying to figure out if we want to get in off the halt, or if it's time to. If I was already in this position, I would be thinking of whether I'm getting out of this halt. So I got to see what's going on here because Webull seems to be locking up my computer somehow. I'll have to join that. Where is it? Nope, not there.
It is a 10-minute halt. Cool.
Okay, good. Then I can maybe try to get this to.
Yeah, you're good. So AERC is breaking above the channel. I had drawn the channel lines based on the volume profile. Sorry, the room's making fun of my crystal ball right now. With the volume profile that I drew the channel on yesterday, it is one of those that it's a longer term. Like it's actually based on the original open. And then as it was coming down off of that 127, whatever, where it started hitting the support resistance intraday. So all of those lines are literally like 6 months old and I haven't changed them. They're all still there. And then yesterday it started going through and that was how I knew the levels. No, I don't know how to use my crystal ball yet. It's just really pretty. Anyways, so AERC just bounced above the top of the channel, which is, it's like at 1197 or whatever. So it bounced above that. and then came right back down. Now the algo that's on it is keeping it from halting. It will just barely hit those levels, and then it reverses whichever way. So that tells us that there is a control on it. The algo is running it for whatever reason. And whoever is running this has an idea of what they want it to do, obviously, and they're going to make it happen. So as far as everything yesterday, they could have dumped, they could have converted if they've got warrants. I haven't even checked to see if it has warrants. But there was a lot of things that could have gone on, and all of that can be found in the filings. I can word. But yeah, give me 1 second.
What's the EP on Jan?
Good question. That I get to go into the filings for because it is not an IPO. It's been listed for a while. I did play it, however, when it ran last time, which was really fun. All right, so the most recent 424 is from February 2021, so they are due. Public offering on it was 1050. It was AGP as the placement agent. The shares. Okay, here we go. So we have, oh, it's still really low. Are you serious? Yeah, Jan can run really hard. It's 2.4 million as far as the outstanding after the prior offering. So, and it doesn't look like they've added much since then. Weighted average is 1110 on it. So 1050 is purchase price. Weighted average is 1110. So it does have room to go 100%, or at this point, 130%.
All right, what are we seeing for PEV on the open?
Give me 1 sec. I'm using the room right now because IB is not liking me. It's like I'm logged in, but it's not. It's all blank. It doesn't like me because I don't use it that often.
Loyalty.
Yeah, Weeble, loyalty. Trade at 4 a.m. for free. I'll take it. 520 is the open. Nice. That's right where I have my order. Thanks, guys. Oh, 510. Well, shit. I'm going to adjust my order because I have a feeling that it's going to halt down again.
Yeah.
All right. 507 is where my order is. And I put it at the weird numbers just because if I put it at like a 5 or a 10, it's going to be like 11 or 6 because that's my life.
The sim.
Yeah, I live in a sim. Pretty sure it's not the Truman Show, but you know, only because I have internet access.
You would know.
I would definitely know. As much as I research, which is why I'm pretty sure we live in a sim.
All right, so one thing we want to keep in mind here is that everybody who bought the IPO or got IPO allocations is in at 750. So far, we've had 300,000 shares that have sold basically at a loss. The float of 2.5 million shares actually could be a lot higher than that because in the S1 filings, basically said the underwriter could, let the insiders sell at any time. And we have seen, especially like we saw with ASNS, a few days after the IPO, the float went from something like 2 million shares to whatever it's at now, which is a lot higher, 20 million shares. So there it is, dropping. Open. Yeah, okay. So it might be bouncing here off 5. I just don't see buy orders like piling up yet. So does this reverse at some point? I think so. Where is that reversal? Hard to tell at this point. 490, 480, 45, 490. No, I think we've seen something that kind of looks like okay. New order. So I got in here at 460. I think that's like a decent place to try to take a reversal here. And that was just sort of a little bit of patience and thinking before 445. For some reason, the numbers I come up with early often turn out to be good numbers to have come in at. It's still going down. There's 450.
I just got the 450.
You got the 450, all right. So how low could this go? This is a pretty crappy company. I mean, there's no reason to think that this is worth anything. Is it? But it's also a stock with some metrics that lend itself to possibly getting ripped the other way at some point. So, how many people are just going to be dumping at an immediate loss and not holding on a little bit of hope that, hey, maybe this could go back the other way? I'm guessing that until this gets back up to 6, we're not going to have. Now we've had the initial panic sellers jump ship. At some point, the low float should kick in and give us a bit of a reversal. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets back up to 6, but also wouldn't be surprised if this goes to we've seen shorts jump into these and like where we didn't see that so much before, or what looks like short attacks on these. And I know that some of the underwriters have been making noise about and trying to get FINRA's attention on whether the shorts actually are having locating shares before they short this. But at this point, we're not having much upside yet. But at some point, you think it's got to go the other way. Up there, 445 would have gotten filled there. That was the original bottom I was looking at. This does not.
I stopped it. I am looking to get back in.
Okay, so you've gotten out you've been stopped out at once already.
Yeah, I stopped out twice already.
Yeah. Okay. My original allocation, I'm going to hold on to. These do have a tendency to pick up a day 2 run. So the 99 shares that Webull gave me, I will. Oh wait, you know what?
I'm going to wait for closer to 4 or the reversal. I want at least a couple candles on consolidation at this point because it's proving to us that it's just going to keep going down. And it's going to halt in a second.
It does look like that.
Or it's just super slowing down. No, it's halted. Okay.
So this is about as bad as I've seen an IPO perform on day 1. To get cut in half, basically, on the from the IPO price. It's something we see with biotech, something we see when there's warrants involved. This is just pretty much a disaster for the underwriter, and clearly no stealth IPO, clearly nothing attractive here at all. And if you bought in on the debut, well, you did better than buying in on the IPO, and that's going to happen sometimes. Sometimes we're going to think we see things go one way, but this game is far from over yet. And day 2 rallies, runs, I mean, anything really can happen. A can dropped off quite a bit, and then
Yeah, I'm going to mute for a second. I'll be right back. Did Matt take off, you guys? So I don't know if Matt's still on or if he lost. Whatever, but it says that I'm here. Okay, apparently I'm frozen. That's awesome. All right, cool. So apparently I'm frozen. That's awesome. Okay, here we go. I don't know. I have no idea. Anybody know what happened with Matt? And I can't duplicate. Yeah, it's apparently my show now. That works. Cool. Yeah, I am not positive how to get all of this going. I think we lost Matt. Matt froze and disappeared. He was having internet issues. All right, so I don't have the share screen ability because I'm on Chrome right now. So I'm going to kind of talk through it. So 422 is where PEV is at right now. Obviously, it's coming down. Yeah, both of us have stopped out. The indication right now is in the threes. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I already pulled my order. Oh, I never put it in. Just kidding. I had an order. So with this, I'm going to wait. Like I said a minute ago, I'm going to have a consolidation kind of moment. So just like any of my entries, I'm going to wait for that consolidation. So a couple candles, and I don't want it to halt. So we'll see. It just opened. It's got 440. God, this thing is so slow. There's slowness happening. Yeah, love it. So I don't have YouTube up, so I can't see what you guys are typing, only because it does the recycle thing. I guess I can pull it up on another computer so I can see. So we got 455. It does look like it's on a reversal now. I am going to wait for at least 1 to 2 more candles. I'd rather get in a little bit higher than have it knife on me. And this looks like a potential knife chart. Though a lot of people would be getting in on that white candle. So we had the 422, next one held, and now it's reversing. All right, let me try to get YouTube up so I can see.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry about that. My internet there went down. Glad StreamYard kept things going. Get this chart back up.
Made it work.
And it looks like it's trying to recover a little bit. So at 450.
So right now I'm just waiting. I just said I want a couple candles where it actually holds to wait for it to basically hold above the white candle. So we had the 422 on the halt, the next one held, and then it instantly reversed, but now it's coming back down to that level. So I'm going to wait another couple candles and see if it holds above that 420. I'll probably get back in.
Okay. At this point, we've had 650,000 shares trade. Not particularly high volume for an opening debut. Still a lot of fresh shares to be sold if it does start moving to the upside. I'm not seeing any indication that that there's any inside play here to try to manipulate the float. This just doesn't look halty at all, and other than halting down like that. So I'm still in at 460, hoping for this to give a baseline. If it gives any kind of upside move on top of 460, I'll probably set a stop loss. I don't like taking losses on day one because so much can happen at the end of the day. So much can happen into day two, and we're so far under the IPO price that. Hold on one second, guys. Allie, take over for a second because
my
wife in.
All right, so yeah, we definitely got that 410 going on right now. I think it's going to break into threes. Side note, I filled on HTCR. I followed my plan on that one, and yeah. Yeah, Victor's reacting to the dogs right now. It's kind of funny. He's like, where are my friends? Oh, do you see the friends? Yeah, Victor's going to say hi. Hold on a second.
All right, bring Victor in.
They're in the computers. They are. Oh, see? Here's Matt. I know. Who's in the computer? It's a friend.
Hey, Victor. Yeah. Got our furry friends here.
That's mine. Hi. My trading child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. He sits on me like most of the day now. It's kind of funny.
My wife is here. She's trying to stay out of the making a cameo. And actually, my daughter is just off her. My newborn daughter is just off camera. So the question now becomes: are you, is anybody trying to take a bottom play on this? I'm already underwater and not looking too confident on the rebound. There is some resistance down here at 4, but it doesn't. I mean, it would really surprise me if we didn't get some kind of run back up. VWAP is always kind of the North Star for me, where it would not be at all surprising to see a run back up to kind of 520, 540, even 557 at this point. But it just doesn't seem like there's anybody coming in to buy this at some point. Perhaps an algo or a trading group says, hey, or even the underwriter says, hey, wait, we can push this up. But right now it's looking pretty
slow.
Pretty slow, yeah. Not a great chart that can, really fall out at any time. And anybody who, basically nobody who's traded this has made any money yet. Maybe you picked up 420 to 470, but otherwise this has been nothing but punishment. So will that turn around? We shall see. I'm going to stick around for a little while here and hope for a reversal. When I don't get the setup that I like, I tend to exit when when given a chance. So if we do get a move back up above 460, I'm not going to put more into this. I don't like this setup as it is. If we do get back up to 460, I'll be setting a stop loss. It's just time to say this wasn't the this didn't match the forecast or what we had hoped for. You can say, oh, Matt, what were you thinking? Complete garbage company, priced at 750. The downside was immense. What did you think it was going to do? Well, we've seen enough of these, and we've seen with OST, with JCSC, all these companies are crapcos, shitcos, whatever you want to call them. They're not great companies. You're not investing because you think this is the future of light or mid duty EVs for small and mid-sized businesses. You play in these because they follow a pattern that has worked out tremendously well over the last couple of years, and we've seen a bunch of these in the last couple of months. So can this reverse? For sure it can reverse. Look, there's somebody trying to buy up 5,000 shares at 420. Selling pressure, not seeing an algo just capping it and driving it down into the ground yet. Or if they have, they may have gotten to the point where they've taken their money and have cooled off a little bit. But these can recover. Do I think it's going to go back to 7 today? No, I don't. Do I think that this company was happy with how their IPO performed? No, I don't. I don't think this is at all what they wanted. So I will keep my the allocation I got, I'll keep that alive until maybe a day 2. I'll be up at 4 in the morning East Coast, which is 9 in the morning my time. I'm already up that time anyway, to see if we get a pre-market spike. But we have seen day 2 runs on these. We have seen end of day runs on these. We have seen these do massive runs on day 2. So the game's not over on this one. I'm not ready to bag a huge loss on the allocation I got, but if I can get out of the position I took it at 460 at break even or better, that'd be okay. But it is, I'm not gonna lie, it is disappointing to have an IPO that looked on the surface like, hey, this is so bad, and it's got prime number capital and it's got all these Chinese connections. This really looked like it had the potential to be a stealth IPO, and that's not what we got here. What we got here has just been a normal, regular, horrible company that just did a crappy IPO, and it almost makes you laugh and say, how did they get away with this? And well, some of it is that they sort of followed, they dressed up like Little Red Riding Hood and suckered enough retail buyers to come in and play it. I did hear some rumors that a Chinese battery company came in and took half the took half the float. So there really could be shenanigans going on here that just we haven't seen play out yet. But why they would completely let it fall out like this, we haven't seen anything quite this bad since maybe Vine. Vine was terrible. Terrible disaster. And it, a couple weeks later managed to come back up to, I think, the IPO price. So they don't, they tend not to get completely forgotten. But, meanwhile, HTCR up to 230, breaking the dental zone the other way.
You're all welcome. I took the scalp from 170 to 199. So you're welcome for my sacrifice.
Yep.
It's a joke in the room. Anytime anybody takes profits or sells or whatever on something as a scalp, it's going to keep running. And it does have way higher exercise prices. And apparently there's warrants to convert at 250. So if they can get over 250 to convert them, then we should see the run up to that 5 or 625 in a few days.
Yeah. I'm holding and watching HTCR for 6. PEV looks like it's moving up. About time to get myself into a stop loss because this is ugly. Gotta wait for the bid to get over 460 before I can set a stop loss at a price where I'm gonna not take. So I could be super smart and just put a limit order in, but I'm gonna be a little bit greedy and probably get burned. But if I can get a stop,
it's probably gonna have a knife.
Yeah, I expect that at some point someone's gonna say, okay, well, I've been punished enough here, and this would be a cent below that. What is going on here? 465, 462. The bid's got to get a little higher for me to get my stop in. Nope. There's a red candle. Uh-oh. Did I really jinx myself like that? 468. Quite the spread here. 468. Yeah. So the bids aren't coming in. The asks are being met. There we go. 462. Nope, coming down. Can't move. 465. 460, 465, 468, 460. It's really like everybody got in at 460 or what? Nope, now we got a buyer stepping in at 460 with 5,000 shares. This could start. We got a bit of a standoff here. 465, 465.
That bid-ask needs to tighten up and fix its life and actually hold something. There it goes. It's starting to get tighter.
Yep. What? Above the current ask price. Oh, well, thank you for keeping me from being an idiot, E-Trade. All right. I'm going to get stopped out at any minute here at 464 if it doesn't go up from here. And ready to get off this this ship. 470. I'm going to inch it up a little bit. 460. Oh. Did not change the order. Okay, so it got me out at 464, and that was oh no. So there was a little slippage there, and that sucks. I ended up taking a 2-cent hit on that one. I put my stop loss at 464. It ended up executing the trade at 458. I still don't quite understand how that's allowed, but essentially once it trades below my order, then they say, okay, well, that's what you get, which, whatever. Smarter thing would have been to set a limit order. Could have gotten out at 465, 470, something like that. Anyway, to me, it's just in, out, no permanent damage done. And I'm just going to step away from this one other than, wow, HTCR is just ripping.
Apparently, I'm being super animated on HTCR. Yeah, I'm just watching it. It's got to come back down. So realistically on HTCR, they're going to get it over. They're going to be able to convert the warrants. It's going to come back down. And then, okay, cool. Pretty much everything that I'm in right now is walking up. So whatever. And HTCR for me totally made up for the stops on PEV. So I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I might actually do a video on it. I haven't decided. But the risk and the stop losses and not getting attached are a huge thing, especially in this market. But like, okay, cool. PEV was a shit trade and all right, whatever. I stopped out a few times on it. Didn't get back in yet. I'll probably actually get in for the overnighter because those have been holding. But then in between all of that, I'm trading HTCR. I take a scalp on it and it made up for everything plus some that I would have lost on PEV. So yeah, always just on to the next. And I hate it when people get in the mentality that you have to make it back on the same ticker. You don't.
No,
you can have a red overall ticker. It's fine. Make it back on something else.
Yeah. And that's the opportunity cost. You can sit around for a long time waiting to for your bag to turn to turn green. And HTCR is one that I've actually held way too long, but was waiting for this type of move, feeling that it was destined to come at some point. And given how long I've held, I'm gonna let it walk up to its EPs. That's what we expect. But HTCR actually gave a really good. This is one where had I not been out and about today and caught that initial move from, if we look at, let's do a split screen here. HTCR. So what I'm looking for in the morning is, all right, this news dropped at 8:30. At 8:30, if I'd seen that headline, and I'm very familiar with this stock, so if you see that headline, you see this first move up, and now I'm watching it. If I can catch it in this opening few minutes here, there's a very good chance I'm going to get in here at around 130, 134. If it baselines out like this, that's okay. I know what's coming. You can even add a little bit going into, if you like what you see here, and that then turns into this. So I like Ali's plays. I like knowing about the LPX. I like knowing what the EPs are. Those are all great guidelines. I don't love I don't feel that I'm less likely to try to understand where the baseline is to accumulate, because that strategy just didn't personally work for me. With this one, I kept adding and it just kept dropping. And I realized, like, wait, I could just, you know, and the same thing with Jan. There's just too many tickers out there, and I have too, little money to be spread out across 20 tickers or 30 tickers waiting for one to hit. Whereas if I can sit there watching in the morning and pick off the headlines and get those headlines lined up, that to me has been a great trade. And that just personally works for me. I like being sort of in and out. And the other thing is that I've just had so much stuff going on with, leaving one country to another country, having a baby born, moving apartments. When you have, I mean, Ali is on this. How many hours a day are you on this?
You don't want to know. I have no life.
So Ali knows, like, I mean, she's sitting there. She knows that when something runs, she's on it. She's ready to capitalize on it and hit it. I'm much more comfortable not being, because I can't. There's too many of these that have run while I was off doing something else, and that's a terrible feeling to have seen, the setup, played the whole time, built your position, and then miss it when it, on the day that it runs. So for me, kind of the days where I am able to be locked in from the morning, throughout the day, those are the plays where I can say, okay, well, I'm gonna be screening headlines all morning. I'm gonna be looking for and if nothing comes, I'm not gonna force it. It's not like I have to play something every day. There's a lot of days where I didn't really see anything I liked, and then I'm just off for the day basically. So I'm not a day trader. I do watch the market daily, and I look for kind of cherry picking the opportunities that really to me are just obvious. And when I can find those and get in on them, great. If I miss some, that's going to happen too. But they, like Ali said, you're going to make up for them with the big wins. When you see, for me, it was 2 trades on JAN, this week. PEV. Okay, the allocation burned me, but we'll see where this goes on day 2 or even at the end of today. But there's a lot of tickers out there. I can't sit on all of them, but I like to, my strategy is look at the headlines, and then if those, I really love it when I'm looking at something and Allie's already on it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, no, I've been in it. This is what's going to happen." And then it's like, okay, well, I don't have as great a position as she does, but I still have a position where I can make money. So these are the setups that I'm looking for. HTCR just broke 3. This thing is a monster. I think there's also a bit of a short squeeze here going on. This was heavily shorted, supposedly.
You're welcome for my sacrifice. A lot of the room is in HTCR right now. They actually got better average than I did, or they got in at 190 on that pullback. I had put an order in at 170 after it tapped. It failed. I was like, whatever. I'm going to get out before it hits 2 because that's a natural resistance.
Just naturally resisted 3.
Yeah. So I could have made a $1.30 versus 30 cents, but whatever. Mm-hmm. It's fine.
So it's already traded 40 million shares. Yeah.
Yeah. If you miss something, or if you get out way too soon, just leave it alone for a little bit. It's going to come back down. Like this one they've got a couple different staggers. It's going to come back down. Even if I don't get in around low 2s, if I get in mid 2s, I'm happy because I know where it needs to go. So knowing where it needs to go actually keeps you a lot calmer on things, and it makes it easier to get back in versus, all right, well, I don't know what this is going to do, so I'm chasing. And then you have emotions, and then it's crazy, and then you stop out too quick, and it's just a shit show. So if you know where it's going, it's a lot easier.
Have a plan. I have 2 rules that address both of the the points that you made there. Rule number one is take profits without regret. If you're in a position to take money, take your money, take your profits. That's what trading's about. You keep doing that. They don't have to all be home runs. You can line up a bunch of walks and singles. Take your win, be happy with it. Oh, 8ERC, I bought it on day one at $2 and it went to $4 and I sold early. Damn, I wish I'd held it to 12. So you don't know. I mean, unless you're Ali and you've got your crystal ball and your, SEC filings. What are those about? Then you don't know where it's going to go, but you do want to have a plan and you want to take your profits and you don't want to regret them. It's a really, really bad habit to get into, because the flip side of that is turning wins into losses, and that is not a good strategy. Take your profits, no regret, look for the next trade, keep doing that enough times, keep rolling your profits into more profits, and where you're going to end up, you're going to end up with a nice return on your initial capital. My second rule is don't chase. I am looking for the initial spike on, for example, if I had been paying attention, I would have definitely added more HTCR on this news. After this, that to me is not a chase, because my strategy is to look for those initial moves that puts the move on my radar in pre-market. But at this point, say it's already at $2, for me, I've missed that trade. That's not the trade I'm looking for. Even if I'm aware of where the the exercise price is, I like to be in here. This is my entry zone right here. If I miss that, then I'm going to look for the next trade. And for me, it's just a question about risk reward. If I know that if I get in up here, I don't necessarily know which way it's going to go. If I get in down here, I think I have much more of a 80% upside to 20% downside, and basically just limiting my risk. So rule number one, take profits without regret. Rule number two, don't chase. You're late to the party. Don't come in just for the for the scraps. You're going to end up it's just a bad habit. You might get away with it sometimes, but you're also going to end up more often than not coming into something that peaked already, and now you're kind of catching it on the way down, and that's not how you make money in the market. So
I just got back in HTCR 261, stop losses 257, and we're gonna see where it goes.
To the moon. 3.5 million share. What's that?
We make fun of the to the moon a lot, where it's got the Earth and the moon is below it, and it's like, yay, and it goes down.
Yeah, that's a relative. I guess to the really top of a mountain would be more relatively the right direction. Right. To the mountaintop just doesn't sound as good. Right.
Our guys are making fun of our tickers. So we've got a lot of tickers right now that are, sexual context, and our room is not adults at all, as you know very well. And
adult content with the minds of children.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically all teenagers. I actually changed in the disclaimer, sorry, we're not adults, also not sorry, and if you're offended, cool, we like you. So yeah, Mike just posted the to the moon. I love it. But yeah, so right now we've got Beat and BJDX are moving up. And then of course Sing is moving up. Everything I'm in right now is moving, because it's all lockups. But right. I keep saying I want Nuts, BJDX, and to go the same day. Please and thank you.
We've got a lot of the low floaters seem to be. I'm looking over my watch list over here. We got MTech up 11%. We got LITM up 13%. We've got Sing up 18%. CYRN up 33%.
CYRN is just going to be an offering play, but they've got a lot from one that they weren't able to use because of a lockup. Even offerings have all offerings can have a lockup. So yeah, that one's got a lot of potential. I'm not in it.
So let's see. PEV is kind of done its initial moves for the day. Unfortunately, while we do sometimes see these baseline and then reclaim VWAP later in the day, a lot of these have kind of made this initial move and then just sort of, when volume fell out, get shorted, which when I see a big sell order like that, kind of capping the ask, downside seems imminent. Panic sellers will start capitulating. And other than that, it looks like people are accumulating maybe at 420, at 410 for a possible day 2 run. So if you got an allocation that you're still sitting in, maybe just give it till day 2. I'm not going to try to add more to my position here. I'm not going to try to average down or anything. I'm just going to wait and see if they've got something up their sleeve. This was a phenomenally disastrous IPO for the underwriter, for the company, for everybody involved, the investors, speculators, whatever you want to call us, suckers who ended up getting full allocations. So I'm going to let it ride. Focused on kind of holding tight on HTCR. Someone asked, what is the EP on that? Ali said earlier, it's what, 5 and 650?
Yeah, so they've got a conversion for warrants at 250. They've got another conversion at 5, and then the actual EP is 625. Right. So they've got stuff in between that they can just recycle, basically. But yeah, so once it gets close to 5, I would be completely out of it. That's just how I play. I generally go to list or the initial EPs. And then if it pulls, an AREC and hits list price and then EPs on both of them, definitely just leave it alone after that.
Stop loss.
Yeah, a lot of and I was talking about this this morning in voice with AERC. Like, if you got in it at 10, you should simply be moving your stop loss up versus having an actual sell, because you can just move it up, and if it knives or pulls back or whatever, then you're going to stop out, but it's going to be for a win. So it's kind of an involuntary way to sell. For me early on, it was a psychological thing for me, where I'd be like, oh, I don't want to sell because it's going to run and blah, and all new traders have that. So that was why I started using my stop losses, so that it just took me out if it had a pullback. I didn't have a choice. Granted, I'm probably one of the few that has always respected my stop losses. I don't move them. There's a reason they're there. But if you can get into that habit of just moving them up as the stock goes up. So if you have a knife, like it ran over this is AERC, it ran up to 1260, 1270, and then came right back down. Well, I would have moved my stop loss up to the dollar mark. So 12, so 10 to 12. Yeah, I'll take that any day. Sure. And obviously it's back to 10. So rinse, repeat, right? But
yeah. And I like the stop loss, especially on these trades, just because, or trailing that stop loss, I'm trying to, ideally I'm getting in at a point where I'm talking about this kind of early morning setup, where if you look at HTCR, you can't set a stop loss in the pre-market on at least the platforms that I trade with. But so even if I'd gotten in here, I'd say, okay, well, my thesis is that the stock has been waiting for a punch for a while. They've been trying to figure out how to run it. I probably would have gotten in a little bit too early, if anything, maybe at 125, 130. And then if it pulled down, might have added some more, just because I've been waiting for this one to run. Like, it just seems so inevitable that this was due to be pumped. But then once it started moving up, I probably would have said, okay, well, especially if this was a fresh play where I didn't already have a position. Once I got up at 136, then I'm maybe putting my stop loss at 125 and saying, okay, well, there's no reason to take a loss on this. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But as it starts moving up, you can just keep, inching up your, inching up your stop loss, inching up your stop loss. At some point, you start getting tighter. It starts approaching 2. Now I'm probably setting my stop loss to a point where I would have gotten stopped out. But you're locking in wins. You're taking your profits without regret. And if you miss it later on, great. or if it goes on a run after you sold, it's okay. It's like I got, what I was trying to get out of was a win on the trade, and now I'm going to go look for the next one. And this is one of the reasons why it's so great to have these EPs, and because they really can tell you, hey, you can expect this to go a lot higher. I mean, SOPA, for example, went on a massive run last is the beginning of January, end of December, and that was one of those ones where on day one it's like, oh wow, it's up 200% from like $1.50 to $4 something, and then the next day it ran to like, I don't know, 13 or 17 or something crazy. So if you have if you're just kind of trading blindly and using the stop losses, then you're only going to get to to a certain point. If you have this these EPs and understand the LPX strategy, which is why I think it's so important that you learn this stuff from Ali, because it really opens your eyes to why why it's not just the headline. You can spend, I mean, before it was just to me trying to guess like, oh well, this is an FDA approval, so what's reasonable, 200% run, a 300% run, maybe 2 days, so like don't sell on the first day. But I was kind of like, no, it's not. Yes, the headline matters, but what is behind it is the the exercise price that they're trying to reach. So it really gives you good targets to reach. And so many times when these do run, I mean, there's been a lot of, I mean, how many positions, as a percentage of the positions you're spread out in, how many do you actually see typically make the run that you expect?
So, kind of random, not really random. I have people asking me about short sellers all the time. Like, why would they get in at this level? And why would they get squeezed? And why, whatever. Our seasoned short sellers are not getting squeezed on this shit. It's the newbies. So, one of our guys is traveling right now. I'm not going to say who he is because he's not back yet. And I don't know if this information is going to be public, but he was asking random short sellers, he's a short seller primarily, about the exercise prices. And every single one of them, and he talked to a lot of people this trip, they just laughed at him. They're like, that doesn't exist. So to answer your questions on short selling, they don't look for that. Now, I do know short sellers that I'm friends with that know. And maybe it's because they are friends with me and they were like, maybe she's not crazy. I'm crazy, if you guys were wondering. But when people that are putting a lot of money into these short don't know about exercise prices, and they're going to have to stop out, they're going to have to take a little bit of a hit, things like that. If these people don't know, I can promise you our newbies don't know either. So just consider when things do the quick little pop squeezes, it's probably your newbies, it's not going to be your big guys. But things like AERC, I mean, they just don't know about the EPs. So I had a lot of them message yesterday and last night that people are in it from like 7 or 9. Well, okay, 9's not horrible right now, but 7 sucks, especially when they went to like almost 13 this morning. So just consider the knowledge that is available versus the knowledge that people actually have retained or seeked out to learn. Most people are in and out technical traders. And when you start getting into the fundamentals of these and, oh, this is why. That was my biggest thing, is I ask why. And I can thank my mom for that. But why is this moving? And when I first started trading, I got, oh, well, it's, somebody wants to move the stock. Okay, cool. Or it's promoters, or it's China. I always love that answer. It's China. Okay, well, it probably is actually, but there's always a goal on these. So if you know where these companies can sell, it's going to benefit you so much more. And I'm asked all the time how much time I put into this. A fuck ton. Like, this is my life, but it's worth it to me, because when I'm in front of screens, I make a lot of money. So when I'm off screens, I can just relax. I don't have to think about it. I can just do vacation and not worry about things. So the knowledge for me has given me freedom, even though, yeah, my day is probably easily 15 hours at a minimum, but it's worth it to me, because when I'm able to take off, or when I choose to take off, I'm able to take off.
Back to the question, Ali. If like, maybe a better way to ask this is, how many positions are you generally in at any given time, waiting, for them to pop? And of the positions you're in, how many do you kind of find do make these pops eventually?
So I'm in an all-time low right now because of my surgery next week. So I'm only in 8 positions right now.
What do you usually?
Normally 20 to 30.
And then what
So
percentage of those would you say generally give you the kind of runs that you're looking for?
So I look for the 300% runs, and I'm hitting about 1 to 3, 1 to 4 right now. My in betweens to kind of keep me from not being bored and just living in the spreadsheets is scalping the dime and the quarter plays. So our non-compliant under a quarter and then close to a dime. There's actually 3 of them that I've been scalping just a penny at a time, and that's a really good day. But ALNA, XCur, and CSCW, and then everybody knows I've been on VGFC, the up down, which is kind of my nemesis ticker. What else do we play? We had Zila last week, was amazing. So
XCLA,
XCLA, yeah. So when I'm building these positions on the lockups and not a lot's going on, I am playing other things. I've got a ton of plays within the role plays. With the role plays, we've got specifically, you've got the lockups, obviously, the offering play, which it's kind of hit or miss this time of year, but I'll keep an eye on them. Like CYRN, offering play, cool. Am I going to play it right now? Probably not. And then the non-compliance play. And then we have the reverse split play, which is dead after the reverse split. But before the reverse split, as soon as we know that we have a vote coming, we're playing those. And it's making a lot of money because they have these waves that you can play and the up down, and even a penny or 2 at a time. Like that adds up. That's 7 to 10% every single time. I will take that every day.
Right.
So having a huge just arsenal of knowledge is great. And if you're a new trader, it's obviously hard. It's almost impossible to do within the first 8 to 10 months. But once you get past that point where you learn, hey, there's a new world and we've got several different plays, start getting into them as far as, yes, the lockup play, that's my baby. I make the most percentage on those, but I can take one like XCur or ALNA and I can make 1 to 2 pennies on it every single day for a month. And now I've made 5 or 6 times what I would have made on a 300 percenter. So as far as the lockups, yeah, one out of every 3 to 4, I'm hitting the full on it. And that's this entire year. Right this second, I'm green on everything that I'm in.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
And when you're green on everything, are those plays that you also already stopped out of before? And how do you track that? So I know that, for example, one that I know that you played for a while now is BJDX. Did you and now that's up 15% today. Did you accumulate any losses on the way down to where it was kind of hovering around 90 cents or $1?
Yes. So I have played that so many times. Same thing with Beat, MTech, Sing. Anytime they have a wave, I'm waiting for a consolidation. So I wait for the consolidation, get in, I'll move my stop loss up so it is above my average. So if I stop out, I'm taking a tiny bit of profit. So on the initial, as soon as they IPO, we've normally got about a week that you can play these, and that is my accumulation on my profit. So then I have basically later on, I have this buffer because I look at the overall trade on the ticker versus this trade in January and this trade in February and this trade in March. So I'll look at the overall. So if I notice that I'm playing a ticker a lot and I'm giving back a lot, I'll kind of stop because it's unhealthy, basically. As long as I stay green on something, it gets to be an addiction, honestly. Like VGFC, we joke in the room that it's my nemesis ticker because every day I'm like me, just be my friend. So, but that one, I mean, I've made stupid money on it. When it initially did the IPO, because it's an OTC uplist, and then on the way down, I played, I don't even know how many bounces. So
I caught a few waves on that one, and then I find that after a couple times, I feel like it's time to move on to the next one.
But you get to know the personality of
True. Yeah.
stock, and it makes it easier to play it.
That's true.
It's like
It also
getting to know
seems like once it's
a
run
fund.
once or twice, it's sort of like, I wonder if it's done. If if the underlying assumption is that these are shitcos and that they're not really like, it's kind of like the longer you try to milk it, the sooner you are to like reaching the point where it's exposed for the crap that it is.
Oh, see, that's where I'm ahead. I know they're
Mm-hmm.
all shitcows.
Right.
I posted the other day because somebody was trying to argue that all of these are garbage, and I'm like, oh, that's or that some of them are garbage, and I'm like, dude, jokes on you. They're all
Mhm.
garbage. So I don't tell you.
You're right that some of them are garbage, but actually, none of them are not garbage. That's the
Yeah,
flip side.
well, majority of these are here for survival. If they're making money in
Yeah.
the real world, they they can stay private, or they don't have to be listed at all because they're making money. But example, TBLT, right? Tough Built. And
Mhm.
we're doing the remodel on the Cali house right now. So trust me, I've been in Lowe's and Home Depot a lot. Every time I see Tough Built, I laugh because I know how horrible the stock is. And so many people are like, but it's Tough Built. It's a real company. I'm like, if they were making money that could sustain them in the real world, they would not be listed. So these guys did a reverse split, I think like in February or March. And yeah, so they went from 22 on the reverse split and it's down to like 4 now, which is just hilarious to me that anybody can be like, oh yeah, it's Tough Built. It's a real company. Cool, but they're not making money. So we have ones like, and I know I'm going to get some feedback on this one, but I don't care. Mullen,
HTCR is breaking 3. Oh, yeah, well,
nice,
uh,
320, boom.
yeah. I don't know if we can compare. I mean, Mullen doesn't have a product. Tough Belt is selling.
Oh,
Does
they have a location though, which is super fun, and they're getting listed on the Russell.
right? I
So they
saw
don't
that.
have an actual product, but they're getting listed on the Russell. I think it's the Russell 5000.
So
But
was Sopa. Sopa ran on that news. That was the news that sent Sopa last time, was going to the Russell 2000.
right, and it's just like, all right, is this for real, or is this just part of our Ponzi scheme? I choose Ponzi scheme, but that's fine. All
Tough
right,
Belt.
room, you're welcome on HTCR. I stopped out, by the way, so on the 261, and then it
Okay.
immediately went.
I'm riding this to, like you said, 625 tomorrow.
So we've had the walkers recently. The last few that have gone have been multi-days, which I love because you have plenty of opportunity. Sorry, my room's getting interesting with BJDX running right now. All right. I'm going to try to adult for a second. Anyways, so we have the multis. They'll go up, they come back down. They're holding levels though, and that's what you want to watch for. And then the next day it goes up and it holds the next level. So when they're doing that, you don't have to just hold all the way through it. You can take some profits. Sorry, they got me. It definitely got me. Uh, Take some profits, keep a core, buy back. Like if you have the trades for it, do it because these give so many opportunities. So, and I'm going to say it publicly. I might have been wrong on IMPP. They did a couple secondaries and then broke all the way down to like, I don't even know what their low was, but they're working their way back up. So it might be a retest on the $1 mark, which I said that they were probably dead.
So
So,
Zen Trader makes a good point here, which I would like to echo, is that these allocations. He said he lost $84 on PEV. I've lost more than that on PEV at this point, but I'm going to wait and see what happens tomorrow. Um, I keep getting it beaten into me on Webull that it is not worth. If you want to just see what kind of allocation requests are being given as a kind of a metric for evaluating an IPO play, do the $100 minimum. Very few, I think OST, AUST, both of those ended up being allocations that really ripped pretty hard. Otherwise, reasonable allocations. Otherwise, what happens is you put in for an allocation request, and if it's garbage, they give you everything you ask for. And if it's good, you get a fraction of what you asked for. So it's really kind of not worth going in and saying, okay, well, I'll take $1,000 of it if it's, because I think it's good. if it is good, they're not going to give you $1,000 worth. They're going to give you like $100 worth or $200 worth anyway. So I'm going to keep reminding myself, and next time I say, to one of these, to Ali's group, or please remind me, Matt, like, don't do more than $100. It's not worth it. It's never, they don't fill a big order if it's, if it is a good IPO, and, if it's crap, they're going to give you as much as you ask for. So, it's the Groucho Marx quote. I, wouldn't want to be a part of any club that would have me as a member. You don't really want to be a shareholder of an IPO that wants you as an investor. That's just kind of the way that that these are set up for retail traders on Webull. I'm not talking about, if you have a desk with, with Bosted or with EF Hutton or even Prime Number Capital, that's a different story. You can put in requests for the ones that actually do well. And if you're a valued customer, they will, try to sort you out. But on Webull, on E-Trade, the only IPOs that E-Trade ever gave me allocations were DD and DNUT. And DNUT was okay. That was Dunkin' Donuts. And DD was historically bad. So again, those allocation requests, I like to do them to get a sense of what kind of fill we're getting. But anything more than $100 is really like, more than I need to put at risk in that setup. There have been some really cool ones, but the rule has, those have been the exception to the rule. The rule has been, garbage. Sure. How much do you want, Matt? Good stuff. Like, yeah, we'll give you like a couple shares. So I'm gonna cool off on the alloc. I say that every time, and then I'll like end up getting suckered into one. But
I just put it in the room. Well, earlier I was like, you guys remind me not to do allocations at all ever again.
Yeah. So
there's been a couple of them that have been amazing, but it's like, I don't know. It's a 50-50, which is kind of with everything. So I don't like.
And that's not the trade I want. No, I don't want 50-50. I want like, hey, there's a chance this didn't work. I don't mind having played PEV because the upside on these trades has been, 100, 200% in a day. So losing even, and I didn't, I traded this at 460 and got in and out for a 2-cent loss. So whatever. But the IPO allocation, that's not the trade that I look for in IPO Warriors. I look for buying the debut. This was clearly not one to buy the debut. I think we all understood that and canceled our debut orders. Nobody like heard what we were saying and thought, oh, well, it's 650. I'm going to get in it, set my limit order at 655 and get in, make sure I get on the opening print. I think we all said and understood that this was not one to buy on the debut. So we shift our strategy to try to find the bottom. That didn't really work out. This is baselining at around 440, 450. I kind of expect it to knife down again at some point. Could run at the end of the day. It's still really early. I tend to see a pivot point at around 230, which is when it's time to see the dentist. Get it? Otherwise, 230 often is the daily low. It just happens to be that way. But either if it's going to fade out for the rest of the day, 230 will kind of give you that indication that it could drop down to 3. I will usually wait till the end of the day if I'm going to try to catch a day 2 rally. So I'll be watching this one towards the close, and if it just starts to fall off a cliff, then I might take a position, down at work, wherever it could be 330, 340. If it falls that far and just continues to trail off into the end of the day, I like that for a possible day 2 rally. But after day 2, day 3 is really like the last chance of a Hail Mary. And after that, whatever loss you either have to choose, like, well, I'm just going to bag hold this for months. Or you say, well, damn, I screwed up, and I'm going to get out, because these can go to $1. These can go under $1. There's no rhyme or reason for why this was priced at $7.50. Then again, I also believe that that these headlines that run on the LPX that run 6 months or 90 days, I feel like they already know that these are in the pipeline. I feel that there's at least a majority of them that are kind of like, oh yeah, I mean, we're gonna, we've got, we're gonna get FDA approval on this AERC thing. So we know that in 6 months we can drop something. We've got this headline, and FDA approval on a hardware device as 501k is much more reliable than on a drug on drug trials. So
Oh yeah.
uh,
I'll take a device over a drug any day. In fact, with the drugs, if it gets close to that FDA decision, I am really, really careful about my position. Like if I had a full position before and we get close and it hasn't run yet, I'll reduce my position. And I mean, if it goes with a 50 or 25% of what I would like, okay, fine. But I would rather that than, oh, they got a CRL and now it's down, 75%. Because we've seen a lot of them where they get that letter saying, hey, we need additional information, or yeah, this doesn't work for us. And it'll drop. Like we had one of them, I don't even remember the ticker. We just watched it and it was in pre-market that it had also, so it didn't even halt. And it was at like $15 and it went down to like $1.30. And everybody's just like, all right, who's short?
if it's a one trick pony and that pony is just like isn't working, yeah, there's like zero perceived value in the company anymore.
Exactly. And if they have multiple things, that's different. But if they've only got a couple, like that company's done. But devices, they've already gone through the testing. And by the time we're seeing them, like they've gone through the testing. And a lot of times they're waiting for like the marketing and things like that. So that's a whole different ballgame. And they're not going to be like, no, you totally can't market this product that's already approved. So yeah, a lot different. I'll take devices any day over, yeah, we have this cool drug. So,
well, drugs has to go through like testing on people, and it has to like
yeah.
show and there can be mixed results and it can work for some people, but if it causes fatalities in other people, it's yeah, and it's a very binary event. Whether if they get approval, bang. But again, for me, I'd rather like wait and see, catch that headline and go, okay, FDA approval, okay, well, it's going to run all day. I don't need to be sitting in it already. Sure, maybe it goes up 40% or 50% before I get in, but if it's going to go 200%, total, I'm okay with catching it. Plus, my money's not tied up, and I'm not really playing a guessing game at that point. It's just kind of like, oh, well, AERC. I mean, that was one I wasn't, at my desk that morning. And then, like I said, I'm going to miss some of them, but I'm also going to catch some of them. Jan was one where it was like, okay, I was sitting there, I saw the headline, like, I'm even a little bit late on this one, but I know where this is going, so bang. They are predictable. You don't even have to predict the event. It's just catching it fast enough and knowing that, hey, this is a low float, recent IPO with, Ali, or even, just check Ali's spreadsheet. What's the EP? Oh, yeah, well, okay, this is going to higher than where it's at right now. Even if I'm a little bit late to the show, even if it's already made its first leg up, I could jump in on this. So anyway, let's see if there's any more questions here. Allocations or coin flip, sure. Blah blah blah. Got an allocation. Down to 25 people still watching us here. I think we have seen not nearly. Well, I mean, I was expecting PEV at least to give us some halt back up at some point. Maybe it's still coming, but probably not today. I'm not going to make any judgment on this point. The volume has fallen off. This is a disaster. At this point, it's going to, I think, just fall off. So time to sit back, relax, watch it, fall down and see if it tails off hard enough at the end of the day. Then I will take an overnight play on it. But otherwise, I think we've seen there's not a lot of activity in it right now, so I think we can step off of that. Jan seems to be knifing down at the moment, and
yeah, it's at the bottom of the channel right now, so it needs to hold probably about 47 to 351 before it does the next step down.
Step down, or is it going to step up? What's the EP on this?
No, so way higher, like they're in the tens. But I'm saying with the channel that I run, this based on the volume profile, I've got the lines on my screen. And as long as it bounces off that, it's going to go back up. But that the bottom of that channel is, it's like, let me double check it. 348 to 351 is where the actual line is on the volume profile. So, and that's going to be based on a 6 month, almost always. So when I'm watching it, I want to make sure it bounces off that, which it actually just did perfectly. So as long as it holds above, it should be going back up to the top of the channel and probably breaking it. Wednesdays are a really good day for the consolidated walkers. So at least this time.
So what do you think? You like Jan at this price?
I mean, I liked it yesterday, but yeah, I still like it. Yeah. Jan's one I've played, I don't even know how many times. When it did the crazy run before I was in it, I've scalped it a couple times on just the consolidated pops. It is one that does buy signals also, which majority of them do. But when we have the buy signals where it's that knife down and it instantly recovers, those are always the ones that I'll get the alert moving down 5%, whatever. And let's see, because they almost always will come back up even a little. So it sucks if you're stuck in them, because a lot of times if you do have a stop loss, like that's what it's meant for. It'll take you out. And then it immediately goes and they're like, oh, why? But
I feel like they're dropping off the dead weight before they go.
I really feel the same. Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody called out Cala, C-A-L-A.
Yeah, it is moving. Yesterday. So pull up that chart. It had a buy signal 2 days ago. It dropped 1771 and it started walking almost immediately. That is on a 15 minutes is where I'm looking on this one. So I've got a 10-day 15-minute on it. And so at the buy signal, it walks back up, it spikes, comes right back down to that 1850 line, which is based on the volume profile. And now it's back over. So the volume profile line that I drew was actually 1860, sorry. And it was 221.95. So was the bracket. And now it's broken above it. So that should become the new support.
Okay. And do you have an EP on this one?
Well, currently we have a pumper on it, but he's a pumper that scalps. So it's probably going to come back pretty quickly. There is also an algo on it. We've been watching it for a few days. I scalped it the first day and I didn't make it overnight. So penny play.
Scalped it from a couple pennies.
Yeah. It was
when you say buy signal, I hear the Queen song Bicycle. So bicycle.
I just filled something. What did I fill? Oh, I didn't kill him. What? All right, whatever. Hi, I just sold the rest of my ALNA. So I'll be buying that back in a little bit. Oh, no, I still have my core. Okay, good. Whew. Sorry, that's when I've been playing up and down for a while. I kind of had that moment for a second, but it was just off my screen. Okay, so with the buy signal, I call it buy sig in the room. You can see it dropped to 1771 and immediately came back up. So that is when we start really paying attention to these. And as far as the subbies go, like GHSI is one. We've played the buy signal on that one several times. And of course, the major run the other day I missed. Zila was the same thing. What was the other one? Timber, TMBR did it. Stab. So we had Stab and MF move the same day, which was really fun for me. And both of them had a buy signal and then went and came back down, another buy signal higher, and then went again. So yeah, it was just one of those. Sometimes you just gotta stab in another rugger. So yeah,
stab to get a BJDX. Anything else? Any other tickers you want to throw out before we wrap this up here?
So the ones that have the lockups in May and have an exercise price, because we've got a lot of them in May, but they don't have EPs. So if they don't have EPs, We don't know where they need to go. There's no guideline on it. And that's exactly what the exercise price is. It's a guideline. It's not like guaranteed 100% every time they're going to hit it. Sometimes they'll have other warrants that they want to run or another offering. We've got a lot of them with secondaries right now. So in the spreadsheet, I've got everything, everything listed in there. So we've got a lot of the May ones, and you're just going to go into the 424s because that's where they are. So the 424 immediately after the IPO, and you're searching for the exercise price and the lockup to get the date and the guideline price. So my spreadsheet, well, I have one of them that obviously is open. I think you post it on your newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, like, it's updated nightly. It actually wasn't updated one night this week, so I got to catch up last night, but it is updated currently. And with those, we're always watching about a month back and about 2 weeks forward. That's
look left.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why Victor is looking left on everything that I have, because you definitely have to look left, see what's going on, and awesome.
Somebody asked about Top. Yeah, Top was an IPO. It was definitely a stealth IPO. Opened up at 27.50. Pretty much fell off when you see these open up at huge premiums like that. I think it priced at 5, priced at 4, opened at 27.50. Yeah, you can't touch that. It dropped hard. But we have seen a couple of these, including Top and TNON. I'm going to bring that one up. Where we've seen these like volatile day ones drop off. Another one, JCSE. We can look at that one. Some of these recently have bottomed out and then recovered. But, and a big but on these is the recoveries don't last long. When you start as a $4 stock, you return to the $2 bin, at some point. So at this point, if you're in Top, if you got into Top, at 12 or whatever, just be really careful. Maybe this goes up a bit, but the rug pull, I can't remember one that didn't. I mean, TIRX was the one that just famously went. It debuted at 16, halted to 17, opened up at 50. I made a huge profit on that, just that move. Then it came back to 20s, down to 10 or 11, and then gradually rose all the way up over 100. And then one day fell 90%, and now it's under $1. So, I mean, when you know that eventually these are going to, the low single digits, anything you're doing with these on the way, trying to ride anything on the way up is incredibly dangerous. So Top, it's come up a bit. They could pull it to, something high, but at some point, if you're not paying attention, you're likely to have the rug pulled out from under you, and that's not one that quiet period. So QP, I got used to QP as being kind of as the quiet period expiration, and that is this. It's kind of an understanding or a rule. I'll let you put your two cents. Let me explain what it is first. So the quiet period is kind of a general understanding that the underwriters and the company are not to release, public announcements for 40 days after the IPO. And for mainstream IPOs, that tends to be the case. They tend not to see any analyst covers. They tend not to announce anything or drop their earnings or anything for 40 days after the IPO. But these low float qualities are exempt, or companies are exempt from that, and so they really, they really don't follow any rules on QPX. We've seen them drop, PR just days after IPOs, and we've seen others that it definitely tends to follow much more closely to lockup period expirations than quiet. So we call it QPX as quiet period expiration, and LPX is the lockup period expiration. And the reason we never really talk about QPX is because it just doesn't seem to be something that is followed. There don't seem to be a lot of headlines that follow those on these low float kind of crapcos. So it's not something that I'm going to pay too much attention to. But yeah, so just be aware of that there is no like FIRNA or SEC rule prohibiting these companies from dropping headlines, around the 40-day. So I don't really consider that to be a useful, a useful deadline to use for these trades. Whereas LPX, it's pretty rare that we see the headline drop on LPX. It's just something to be more aware of, as in, hey, LPX on this one is coming up in 2 weeks, and I like the price down here, so maybe I start building a position here so that I'm already in before they start walking it up and then eventually pumping it. And certainly, if we're already into LPX and the price is down, maybe it's a weak market day and everything's been kind of flushed out. That's where I might say, okay, well now I'm going to be looking at what had recent LPX, what's down, what hasn't had a big announcement, what companies do I think could have are in a position to have an announcement. Those are that's how I would use it. But realistically, I'm not trying to build positions anymore. I just got too impatient and lost too many opportunities where I was sitting a position and then not at my desk when it ran. So for me, knowing which, for me, it's just having the background information on the stock so that when the headline drops, I'm like, oh, I know what AERC is. This is one of those crap codes with a low float. They did a low float IPO that ripped on day one. And Ali's been talking about how it's LPX. So this headline is the LPX move. Now I'm going to try to grab it. Like, if I hear that headline right away and I can get in on the first jump, that's where I can confidently take a big position and sort of be like, all right, during the day, it's going to rip. And my targets are, referenced on the, by the exercise price on those stocks. So it's like HTCR. This is a great example. We've been waiting for it to rip. It finally dropped the headline. Now it's at $3, and I'm not trying to sell out yet, because I feel like there's a good chance we're gonna get up to the $5 or $6. We might have to come back down to $2 before then, but I'm just gonna kind of let myself relax on this one and let it come to me instead of trying to to overmanage this one. All right, Ali. INN forecast time horizon. Yeah, I got a very big position in INN that I just keep adding to. I like INN. This is another, it's a hardware device. It really could be a while. It's going to be, they're going to supposed to get FDA clearance on their cannula device in early 2023. That should produce a pretty good spike. So that's when I'll probably sell off my common shares. But what I'm really holding out for is I think it's Q3 2023 when their when their full device gets FDA approval. And what's huge about that is they have about $400 million worth of contracts that are contingent on that FDA approval. So once that hits, the company, the share price will blow up. Assuming it does, they could have supply chain issues. Israel could get drawn into a war, but they could also be a buyout candidate. I mean, I would be surprised kind of if companies weren't already trying to buy them out. Their valuation is, I think, below their cash on hand right now, and their technology, they've already demonstrated that it works on pigs, and now it's just the formality of going through the FDA approval. So I'm just sitting back on INN and trying not to look at it because I started building my position way too early. But I just keep adding every time I take a big win on something, or any kind of win on something, especially with INN down at 160, 170 right now. I'll go pick up another 1,000 shares. And it's I'm overextended on it to some extent, but I'm confident that my ship will come in on that one. So I'm just letting it sit there and building. And, I feel like it's just a matter of time. But yeah, not till next year, really. So kind of got to hold tight on that one. Probably got in too early. Had a different strategy then. That's the other thing. You can adjust your strategies. It's okay to be in fact, I think if you're not adjusting your strategies, you're not improving your, you're not improving your skills. And for me, sitting and waiting in positions just hasn't worked out as well as catching the headlines. It doesn't mean that for other people it works really well to build positions, manage your downside with stop losses, and then be in a big position before it moves. You're gonna get that much more out of it if you can dedicate that kind of time and attention, as Ali so generously does for all of our benefit. All right, I am really going to wrap up now. We're going into 5 o'clock, and I've got to we got to get going here. So thanks everybody. Thanks Ali. Like, subscribe, share everything, and anything else, Ali?
No, I'm probably going to get in PEV for the overnighter. I'll wait until later on the day, and I'll probably post as soon as I get in because I generally do that. But it's only going to be for that pre-market pop. And if it doesn't happen, I'm out. Like, I don't hold it into the day generally. And sometimes it pops midday on the second day, but that's not my play. So I respect that. And as far as the lockups, things like that, definitely get used to control Fing in the 424s, exercise price and lockup. It will save your ass so many times.
Sure thing. Thanks, Ali. Take care, guys.
Have a great day, guys.